plants that undergo changes in light, temperature, and more, all according to a certain rhythm. By aligning their own activities with these rhythms, Pokemon can work more efficiently to gather their food or work together with their fellows. These rhythms are especially important for Pokemon that make use of light from the sun or moon. So that's why they've got Solrock and Lunatone as an example there. So we've got Pokemon affected by lunar phases. And tidal patterns. High tide, others might huddle together in groups. Then we've got body posture. Among the many species of Pokemon discovered, some sleep in surprisingly unusual positions. Others hunker down in a set posture so they are not swept away while asleep. Pay attention to which part of their body they use to anchor themselves. And the last sleep form is location. In a comfortable environment, Pokemon can sleep soundly. Some always sleep while in the same spot. Other Pokemon wander in search of a place they like. Some even make their own sleeping spots or take them from other Pokemon. So now that we've looked at all the different sleep forms, we can take a look at these pages again a little more closely. We've got Xerneas here sleeping as a tree. Legends say it can share eternal life. It slept for 1,000 years in the form of a tree before its revival. We've got Komala, another duration sleeper. It is born asleep and it dies asleep. Dravorag is an alertness one. Its tail never falls asleep, so it keeps watch. Doduo, only one head sleeps at a time, keeping watch while the other head sleeps. Temperature sleepers like Sandile, burrowing in the sand to keep warm. Woobat, sticking to walls with its nose. Garbink has apparently slept underground for hundreds of millions of years. Why not is a location sleeper because they bundle together. Beldum cling to walls with their claws. This is one of my favorite spreads. I love ocean environments. Corsola's so cute. The little love disc hiding in their coral branches. A few more sleepers. Got Houndstone and Grievard sleeping under the snow. Avoid being discovered while asleep. When asleep, they are defenseless. Some Pokemon hide their bodies or imitate things in nature to avoid being discovered by other Pokemon while sleeping. of silk and leaves. Coexistence with Pokemon. The strengths and abilities of Pokemon can bring prosperity and safety to people's lives. At times, we must do our best not to disrupt how Pokemon live. Let's explore the lives of people who live in nature and their connections with Pokemon. Diglett helping out on the farm. Choke carrying heavy objects. This Pokemon is friendly to people and loves children most of all. It comes from deep in the mountains to play with children it likes in town. The AC just turned off. I hope it wasn't too distracting while it was on, but it's still getting like over 100 degrees every day here. So if I want to film anything, then kind of have to have the AC on because it's very hot. Okay, cooperating to attack prey. Some Pokemon cooperate with others to attack prey. By teaming up and dividing roles with Pokemon that have different capabilities that they lack, certain Pokemon can catch surroundings or pretending to be something else. They can ambush prey by surprise or escape from foes unnoticed. Let's examine these Pokemon and their deceptive strategies and ways of hiding. So some make themselves look like something else, like Weepinbell looks like a plant. Isn't it a plant though? Plant creature, I guess. Lorantis looks like a bug. There's some like this where the tail of a hunt-tail looks like a small fish and it lures in prey. Victory Bell moves the end of its vine to attract prey. Deceive the prey, then attack. If its appearance resembles its surroundings, other people or Pokemon are less likely to notice. That way, it can be ready to strike when prey approaches. Some Pokemon even make a part of their body look like food to lure in prey. Lampent looks like lamps. Pretends to be a lamp. Once it finds someone whose death is near, it will trail quietly after them. It draws in souls to light its flame. Cofagrigus. They pretend to be elaborate coffins to teach lessons to grave robbers. Their bodies are covered in pure gold. Stories say that it traps approaching grave robbers within its body. I love darker Pokédex entries like that. We've got Pokemon that resemble Pokeballs. It is not yet clear whether the resemblance to Pokeballs has any effect on others. Deceive the enemy for self-protection. If there are stronger enemies, Pokemon can pretend to be something else, or use a disguise to evade attack. When attacked, some Pokemon put on an act to confuse their opponent, using the opening to escape. Deceiving the enemy's eyes is very important for self-protection. You okay? So we've got things like Applin hiding inside of an apple. Sudowoodo pretending to be a tree. Zorua pretending to be this person to evade capture. Fake eyes. Eyes are vital organs for communication. Some Pokemon make clever use of them. If a Pokemon has large, frightening eye patterns, enemies may mistake them for real eyes and get scared, giving ample time to seize prey or escape as necessary. So we've got eye patterns on Arbok's chest, the claws of Caesar, and the wings of Masquerain. There is this other Pokemon.